Hey everyone, this is Shelby Bowen. I am a Christian life coach and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I am going to be talking about what I have learned in the last year, my first year of being a wife. So this is for all the ladies out there who may be in a relationship or married or just want to know a little bit more about what married life is like as a Christian and as a wife. My husband Branson and I are coming up on our first year of being a married couple, and wow, time really flies by. It's so crazy to think about the fact that we've already almost been married a year. But at the same time, I feel like so much has happened and I've learned and grown so much as a person and as a wife. And I would love to share with you what I have been learning along the way. The first thing that I want to talk about is submission. I think I always had this idea of submitting to a husband and just being a little unsure what that looked like. I've seen some toxic and been around a lot of toxic church cultures, and as a Christian life coach helping people walk through a lot of church hurt and seeing a lot of abuse of power. And so with that, a little bit of hesitancy I think that I had of, okay, well, what is God, you tell us to submit to our husbands, what does that look like? Does that mean that like my opinion doesn't matter, that I don't have a voice, that I just have to do whatever my husband says? And no, that is not the case. Submitting to Branson, my husband, has honestly been such a treasure and such a blessing for me and hopefully for him too. But I want to say, if you are not married yet, first and foremost, you want to find a man, if you are still single or just dating, who is worthy of submitting to, someone whose character you trust, whose opinions you trust, whose knowledge of finances and big decision making, like somebody who doesn't make rash decisions, somebody who does value your opinion, and someone who you can trust to know that their heart and their minds are in the right place when it comes to leading a family. And so with that being said, I was very blessed to have a husband who I trust wholeheartedly in the decisions that he makes for our family. And again, those are things that we also talk about together. Submission in our first year of marriage has not at all felt like I was just a slave submitting to a man and I had to do whatever he said. Like, I don't at all feel that way. And, it's submit one unto another. And, I want to go under him. Like, I want to serve and submit to my husband. And it's not in a way that is at all oppressive. It is just trusting his leading and guiding. And I want to share a quick example. Recently, we just moved into a new house that we're renting, but we were living in an apartment complex before this. And we were kind of in this limbo stage, and we were trying to figure out if we needed to stay in that apartment, if we were trying to look for a house to rent, we buy a house, and the market's in this crazy place, and my husband works in commercial real estate. And so I am like, okay, I'm going to let him, talk to his mentors in business and whatnot and figure out, like what would be the best decision for our lives and our marriage and our future. And so a while back we were talking and I realized, okay, these decisions were stressing him out a little bit and weighing him down, and he just wasn't sure. He wanted to hear my input, and I hadn't been saying much because I, in my mind, was just trying to honor that he trusted his mentors and their guidance and what he knew because he was in commercial real estate. And so I was kind of stepping back to let him figure out what was best. And, I was just preparing my heart to be good if we had to stay in our apartment complex another year, which I didn't want to do. And so we were talking. He's like, well, I'd actually really love for you to like, you tell me what you want me to do. But he asked for my opinion. I could see it was weighing him down. And so as a marriage, it's like you're assessing the situations. And I'm like, okay, you know, you're struggling with the decision to make here. And so we talked it through, and we came to the conclusion. I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to do. I think this would be the best situation for us. And I will take on finding the house to rent, getting everything together. And he, you know, and that was a big weight and stress taken off his back that I was able to take on. So again, submitting isn't just as a wife laying everything down, letting the man decide. Like, this is a partnership. We are one. And if he is having a hard time at work or stressed out about something, and if I could step up in a certain way and take a more hands-on role in this situation, then I'll do that. So it's really just about assessing the situations, and sometimes there's going to be times where he needs me to step up and have a more hands-on role in, you know, a certain scenario, and there's times where he's going to be like, hey, I need you to trust that I've got this, and I'm going to make the decision for this area, and your input and your value is appreciated, and I want to hear what you have to say, you know, but there's going to be times where I'm going to have to trust that if he wants to move forward in this direction, you know, I'm going to submit to what he knows is best. And that's great. So the next thing that I've learned as a very career-driven woman, I've always been very focused on my career and where I'm going and what I'm doing. And when you get married, you know, it's the husband is the provider, and, you know, he is essentially the one who is providing for the family. And, you know, you can work and you can do whatever you want, and there's times where maybe, you know, your husband's job isn't doing so well and you become like the breadwinner, the one who's bringing home the most money, and none of that matters. But what I have learned is that in his role of providing for a family, how can I support him and kind of lift up his arms with what he's doing, even if that means kind of slowing down my aggression of like getting what I want to do for myself and my career, and kind of laying that down and taking it a little bit of a slower approach to figure out how I can help my husband in that role, because God created men to provide. He created them to protect and to lead the house, and you want to make sure that you're not stepping into this masculine energy and this alpha driven kind of character that you're butting heads with your spouse. And the beautiful thing is that God created women to have a feminine energy, and we are there to nurture our families and take care of our families, and and provide a comforted home and environment. And, you know, things that I never thought I would love to do, I love to do now, you know, and that's cleaning the house and doing laundry and cooking for my husband, and, you know, whatever that looks like. But that's because I stepped into that role of a wife, which is that feminine energy where God created us to nurture and to love and to care for those who are around us. And that is beautiful. That is our superpower. So allow yourself, and it's great to be career driven, but allow yourself to step into that feminine energy, that nurturing energy, and nurture your husband. Care for him, care for his needs, you know. Pay attention to the things that would make his life a little bit easier, and just do those things, and it will definitely bless your marriage and your relationship. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about in this video is me before we. So in the second point, I was talking about being attentive to your husband's needs and really stepping into that feminine energy. But for this part, I think it's important that you have to understand, and what I've learned in this, and I'm still trying to understand, is that me before we creates a way healthier marriage. So if I am putting my mental health and my physical health first, if I'm like, okay, I need to make sure that I am in a good place, you know, in my mental state, you know, physically, whatever that looks like, then I am going to pour from a full cup. But if I am just giving, 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 and worrying about everybody else's needs but my own, then you're going to hit a brick wall. And so I've learned to really also spend a lot of time doing things to pour into myself. So I think this is a really important thing also for moms, which is as you have children, I think that you can kind of lose yourself a little bit more in the roles of just being a wife and being a mom, and you lose your interests or your hobbies or your passion and your spark. And so I think always making sure that you are pouring into yourself in creative ways and doing things that spark passion and purpose, that no matter what stage of life you're in, you don't lose that. And I have realized the importance of that in the last year of doing things that make me feel alive. And I am just a better wife when I'm like that. I am a better wife to my husband when I am fully satisfied in the purpose-driven life that I'm leading myself. So I hope these points have encouraged you today. If you want more information on my resources as a Christian life coach, look in the description below. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you next time.